Coach, second time you've seen them, what do you really need to do better this time?
Well, they're a long team. They play a really solid style of basketball where they don't give up a lot in the high percentage area. And we've got to do a better job in a lot of different areas. Our ball screen defense wasn't great, and we got to rebound the ball much better. We have to do that, and we're going to have to work harder offensively. I thought we settled a lot with just shooting a lot of threes, and we've got to improve that. But if they're not going, it's going to be difficult because of the way they play. They force you into a lot of those shots, and so there's a lot of different things we're going to have to do.
What would it mean for this program just to be able to get at least a share of the conference title?
I didn't hear it first.
Aside from just tournament seeding and stuff, what would it mean for this program to be able to get at least a share of the conference title?
Well, I think anybody, that's what you play for. You want to win championships. You want to be able to do that, obviously. And what I think it means is that we've got a group of guys that have worked hard. They've believed when a lot of people outside probably didn't believe, but they've done the work. And and it hasn't been easy. It's not easy for anybody, but for them to accomplish what they've done up to this point is really a compliment to them and their work ethic.
Coach, the last couple times you've had a sellout, you've said it was because North Carolina was the Buzz, or Kentucky. Now you guys are the Buzz. What do you tell your team about being the Buzz and how to handle that?
Well, I really appreciate our fans. When you go back this year, I know that Tom Satkoviak has told me all year that we're creeping into being like one of the top 5 in attendance all year, and what I've learned being here in 3 years is that Tennessee loves their basketball. But we haven't always been a team that people get excited about, but I do think they appreciate the hard work and blue collar type style that these teams have been playing with, and it's great that people are excited about us, but our guys have created that too. They've done their part, and we can't get away from what we've done to continue to build the program and grow the program where it's got to be all about consistency.
Georgia's won 5 in a row against Tennessee. Why do you think they were just kind of
you go back, I think that they played for 40 minutes, and we haven't. I think that we've had a lead here a year ago and didn't finish it. J.J. Frazier just took the game over. And then you go back to the SEC tournament a year ago. They, again, finished it strong. And down there a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, same thing. That's 5 minutes, 2-point game, and they were able to execute and get things done, and we did.
You and Auburn tied for first place. Not much was expected from the outside from either of you at the beginning of the season. From what you know of your team and what you've seen of Auburn, what's the common denominator that's going to help both y'all be?
I think both teams have played really hard, and I think both teams look at their defense as being what can carry them. I think those would be the two things. I think if you ask coaches in the league, that two teams have played hard and been pretty consistent defensively all year.
You mentioned defense. Are you guys doing anything different, or is it just a function of the opponent's 3-point defense percentage-wise has been out of sight the last 3 games?
Well, you know what? We have done some things in the last couple of weeks where we've been able to add a couple things, or like in the game against Mississippi State, we went into that game with a ball screen package that we thought we could use, and none of it was working, and so we just hadn't even talked very much about switching everything, and we started doing that in the game. Our guys were able to make that adjustment, and so I think they are starting to understand more and more how every game is a different game, and you have to be able to, sometimes you can get really aggressive, other times you got to back it off and play scout report, and we're going to have to continue to do that and build on that.
Before you play Auburn, you're going to know the result of their game. Do you want to know the result before you play of the Auburn?
What are you asking?
Auburn plays before you do in South Carolina. Do you want to know the result of that game before you play?
That game, to me, it's about what we've done all year. We got to play hard. We got to worry about ourselves, and whether it's it's about, we're not going to change our approach to what we do. The guys know what they're playing for, but they also, I know this, they have a lot of respect for Georgia, and it doesn't matter. We've got ourselves in a position that we can, in terms of a conference championship, we can decide whether we want to be a part of it or not, and it's going to be based on our effort and the fact that we get focused on what we have to do to win a basketball game.
How do you keep your players focused pregame on that, knowing that they could get online and figure out what those
Well, they already know it. They already know it. I mean, it's there. They've got a week to think about that. So they know that, and it's a matter of understanding that this is the last time we play here, and that's this time of year. So all this is new for these guys. They're getting ready to get into a SEC tournament, an NCAA tournament where more attention is going to be brought to them, and some of these guys, well, none of them have ever experienced a lot of that. So this is going to be all new for them. It's our job as a program to make sure they understand that even though it's this is the highlight of college basketball. This is when all eyes focus on college basketball, but you still have to. You should enjoy it because they've worked hard to be a part of it, but yet they've got to stay true to what they've done to get them here and understand that we still have work to do.
Rick, you've preached consistency, searching for it since November, but you guys have still consistently won games. How do you consistently win games despite not having the consistency on the floor that you want?
Well, different guys, I think, have done that, and we've had, for the most part, you look at our guard play, most of the time we've had two guys maybe play well. If we ever get all three of them playing well, that's when we really do play good basketball. And the same thing up front, when our front line, when they're all playing. But consistently, we've had more guys play well than not. And the times that we didn't have everybody playing well were most of the times we got beat.
I think you guys are 8-1 against teams you've played twice. What does that say about your team?
You know what? We talked about it as the coaching staff. We thought that would be really important going into the year because you look at 10 games against high-level opponents, and we knew that those 10 games were important and that we had to play well in them. And we've got a chance to do really a great job with it. But the one Saturday will be as tough a game as we've had all year.
Coach, what Admiral the last 2 weeks? What's kind of been the key to his play?
Well, again, he's getting closer to being a senior, and you think by the time a guy has played, and he's played a lot of minutes. He's been in a lot of games, a lot of big games, and but you'd like to see his growth and his maturity at this point. But I go back. Admiral works really hard. I mean, he does. He puts his time in, and he's the biggest improvement he's probably had is playing on the perimeter of defense. We went into the year wondering if we could play him there, and the biggest question was, could he guard that position? We didn't have any questions about it offensively, and he's worked harder at it. He's gotten much better at his own ball stance, and he's still learning how to chase through screens and do all that that a perimeter guy has to do. But his work ethic has been great, and he just has to stay focused.
How much flexibility does that give you? You can play him on the wing or down low and mix and match personnel.
Well, it allows us to get bigger and stronger, with him out there and more physical. And we've even started now playing when he and Grant are playing together. We've like putting Eve out there so we can stay physical. And but we like being physical, and Admiral is a guy that gives us a chance to do it a couple different ways.
You talked a lot before the season about James being a really coachable guy. Is that a trait you've continued to see throughout the years you've worked with him?
When you go back on this and look at James Daniel, I think it says a lot about him. I mean, he had to totally change the way he played basketball, certainly the last 3 years, where he was counted on to score, shoot it, to where we told him, hey, you're not going to be a volume shooter. You're going to have to buy into a role to play defense first, run the team, and which I don't think that's an easy thing for anybody to do, but I think he probably has done as well with that as anybody that could possibly do, and he still has a chance to continue to get better with it. But it's been I don't think it's an easy thing to do, but that's what we ask him to do, and he's tried to do it.
How many times were you asked to get you to yell bird this year?
A lot, a lot, and just trying to help him through it, because again, he's changing habits, and but a lot, and but we all appreciate what he's done, and he's a guy that is probably as much responsible for our own ball defense. I mean, he's a guy that set that tone from the very first game this year. When you go back to when we talked about picking up full court, something we hadn't been able to do for 2 years here, and he's a guy that has led us in that and set the tone and has really brought energy off the bench probably as much as anybody.
A lot of teams talk about how tough Grant is to match up. What about Maton? A lot of people talk about.
Oh boy, he is. I mean, very seldom does a guy that gets picked to be the preseason player of the year put up player of the year kind of numbers, and he's done that. I mean, he's a guy that one, you can tell that his teammates love him, and he scores inside, outside. He's starting to knock down the three. could always shoot the ball. Now he stepped back out even beyond the 3-point line doing it. But great job getting his space on the floor. And we'll leave George as one of their all-time great players, and that says a lot.
Derek Walker's Derek Walker's been more prominent in these last couple of games. What's your plan for him going forward?
Same thing. We'll wait. We're 28-9, 30 games in, whatever it is, and he knows his role, what he needs to do, and he needs to do that. And based on how he does that role, will determine what playing time he gets.
Has James brought what you thought he would bring when you signed him in terms of seniority?
We weren't sure in terms of. Again, we knew. Once during the recruiting process, talking to his dad, talking to his Kevin Nickelberry, the coach at Howard, the one thing he wanted to do was be part of a winning program. He wanted to have a chance to play in the NCAA tournament, and he wanted to go to a place where he could add to the team, and that's why he chose here, and he's done that. I mean, he's helped us get where we are today. And so I've said before, when we've had fifth-year guys, they help you win one game, it's worth it. And he's helped us win more than one game. He's done a good job for us.
Does he get to take another 40-footer Saturday since he made his last one?
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.